The pristine white hull of the Galactic Exploration Fleet's flagship gleamed in the morning sun as it descended through Earth's atmosphere. Inside the command center, scientific officer Zellman adjusted the sensitivity of their scanning equipment, elegant fingers dancing across holographic displays. The readings made no sense. Where were the quantum signatures that typically preceded first contact? "Commander, I'm detecting powerful electromagnetic fields," Zellnan reported, silver eyes narrowing at the data streams. "But the pattern is unusual, not consistent with early teleportation experiments." Commander Valsor moved to the observation window, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the light. "Show me the source." The holographic display shifted, revealing massive arrays of electromagnetic equipment pointing skyward from various locations across the planet's surface. The energy readings were off the charts, but not in the way they'd expected. Instead of the delicate quantum manipulations that usually indicated a species ready for interstellar contact, these were brutal, efficient channels of pure electromagnetic force. "What are we looking at?" Valsor asked, mandibles clicking in confusion. A junior science officer spoke up, her voice trembling with excitement. "Sir, I believe these are weapons. The humans are using electromagnetic forces to accelerate physical projectiles to extreme velocities." The bridge fell silent. Using electromagnetic fields for weapons instead of transportation, it was unprecedented. Every known species developed quantum technology first, using it for transportation and communication before even considering weapon applications. Their arrival had not gone unnoticed. A transmission came through on standard frequencies, primitive radio waves, but clear and strong. "This is Earth Defense Command welcoming the unidentified vessels. Please maintain your current position for escort." The crew watched in fascination as several sleek aircraft rose to meet them, their design elegant despite their reliance on atmospheric flight. Scans revealed they carried no energy weapons, no quantum devices, just highly advanced electromagnetic acceleration systems. Valsor accepted the escort, following the human aircraft to a designated landing facility. As they descended, more scans revealed the true extent of human electromagnetic technology. What they lacked in quantum manipulation, they made up for with an almost artistic mastery of magnetic fields and materials science. The landing pad was surrounded by what were obviously defense installations. Zellman's scans indicated there were more of the electromagnetic weapons, railguns, according to the human terms they were now picking up from public broadcasts. The calculations displayed on his screen made his inner membranes flutter in disbelief. "Commander," he whispered, "these weapons, they're capable of accelerating projectiles to nearly relativistic speeds. The kinetic energy on impact would be devastating." Valsor finished examining the data himself, and completely unaffected by quantum shields or energy dispersal fields. As the delegation prepared to disembark, they received a detailed information packet from their hosts. The humans were being remarkably open about their military capabilities, perhaps because they knew that any scans would reveal them anyway. The technical specifications included in the package confirmed their observations. Humanity had pursued the development of kinetic weapon systems to an extent that no other known species had even considered. "Sir," the cultural specialist chimed in, "their historical records indicate they developed these weapons before achieving reliable spaceflight. They preferred to perfect the art of throwing things very fast before figuring out how to teleport them." Valsor's crystalline appendages shifted in what his crew recognized as amusement. "Well," he said, "this should make for an interesting first contact report. The Council certainly won't believe it without proof." As the airlock cycled and the ramp extended to meet the ground, the alien delegation prepared to meet a species that had defied every known pattern of technological development. Through the opening doors, they could see a group of humans waiting to greet them, standing confidently beneath the shadow of what was unmistakably the largest railgun any of them had ever seen. This was going to be a very interesting first contact indeed. Senior researcher Vectoral stood in the observation chamber of the Nevada testing range, her sensor suite working overtime to process the data streaming from the human demonstration. Behind reinforced windows, a new type of compact railgun was being put through its paces, its magnetic coils glowing with contained power as it prepared to fire. The containment field specifications shouldn't be possible, she muttered, checking her calculations for the fourth time. Her research team exchanged worried glances as their own instruments confirmed what they were seeing. These humans have somehow developed magnetic containment systems that exceed our theoretical models. The railgun fired. A hypersonic projectile streaked across the desert, leaving a visible distortion in the air from its passage. Vectoral sensors tracked its velocity, acceleration, and impact force. The numbers were breathtaking. Dr. Morrison, she called to the human scientist standing nearby. Your containment fields, they're using a layered lattice structure for the magnetic matrices, aren't they? The human smiled, pushing up her safety glasses. Good eye. We found that traditional linear containment wasn't stable enough at these power levels. The lattice design came from studying crystal formation in high-pressure environments. Vectoral's assistants furiously took notes. This was backwards from how every other known species had developed. Most civilizations mastered quantum fields first, using them as a foundation for other technologies. Humans had instead pushed the boundaries of materials science and electromagnetic engineering to their absolute limits. Would you like to see the manufacturing facility? Dr. Morrison asked, gesturing toward a nearby building. We just finished a new production line for the marked VI containment systems. The alien research team followed, their environmental suits humming as they adjusted to the desert heat. Inside, robotic assembly systems were crafting the complex magnetic coils that made these weapons possible. Vectoral watched in fascination as layers of exotic materials were precisely deposited at the molecular level. Your species developed this level of precision manufacturing without quantum assembly tools, she asked, unable to keep the disbelief from her voice. Sometimes you have to work with what you have, Dr. Morrison replied, checking readings on a nearby console. We knew we needed better materials, so we built better tools. Each generation of technology let us build something a little more precise, a little more powerful. Vectoral's scientific training warred with what she was seeing. Her people had used quantum manipulation to achieve this level of precision. The humans had done it through sheer determination and iterative engineering. A sudden commotion drew their attention. One of the production units had detected a flaw in its latest coil assembly. Vectoral watched in amazement as the system diagnosed the problem, adjusted its parameters, and began a new production cycle, all without quantum sensing or atomic manipulation. Impressive adaptation protocols, she noted, studying the system's response. Dr. Morrison nodded. We found that traditional quality control methods weren't enough for these tolerances. The systems learned from each production run, constantly refining their processes. As they toured the facility, Vectoral's team documented everything. The Council would need to know that their assumptions about technological development paths needed serious revision. These humans hadn't just stumbled upon advanced electromagnetic weapons. They had built an entire technological civilization around mastering the fundamentals of physics in ways other species had skipped over. One last question, Vectoral said as they concluded their tour. Why focus so much on kinetic weapons? Surely energy weapons would be easier to develop. Dr. Morrison paused, considering her answer. There's an old saying on Earth. Keep it simple, stupid. Energy can be deflected, absorbed, or redirected. But mass always has its way. No matter how advanced your defenses are, if something heavy hits you fast enough, you're going to have a bad day. Vectoral's translation matrix took a moment to process the idioms, but the logic was undeniable. Sometimes the simplest solution was the best one. and humanity had turned simple solutions into an art form. The crystalline hull of the Krax vessel cast rainbow patterns across the walls of Earth's orbital station as it maneuvered into docking position. Ambassador Tilara watched through the observation deck's windows, her segmented eyes taking in every detail of the human facility. Most species would have used quantum tethers for orbital docking. The humans, predictably, had developed an intricate system of electromagnetic guides instead. Fascinating approach to the orbital mechanics problem, she commented to her technical advisor. Their solution actually provides more precision than our standard methods. The docking procedure completed with a gentle thud. Another surprise. The humans had managed to create magnetic coupling systems that could match the delicacy of quantum-based alternatives. Captain Rodriguez of the Earth Space Command met the Krax delegation at the airlock. Tilara noted how the human officer showed no sign of discomfort at her species' insectoid appearance. Perhaps developing without quantum communications had made humans more adaptable to different forms of life. Ambassador, welcome to Orbital Station Unity, Rodriguez said, gesturing toward the main corridor. Our engineering team is eager to begin the technology exchange. The station's design reflected humanity's practical approach to space habitation. Instead of the graceful quantum-stabilized architecture common to most species, the humans had created a robust structure using advanced materials and electromagnetic environmental containment. It wasn't pretty, but it was undeniably effective. These magnetic containment fields, Tilara's technical advisor whispered, they're using principles similar to their weapon systems, but inverted for protection instead of projection. The human engineering bay was a hive of activity. Holographic displays showed various weapon designs, some purely human, others clearly incorporating elements of Krax technology. A team of engineers huddled around a prototype that caught Tilara's attention immediately. "Is that what I think it is?" she asked, moving closer to the device. Chief Engineer Chen nodded, adjusting the holographic overlay. "We've been studying the crystalline computing cores your people use in targeting systems. We think we can integrate them with our electromagnetic acceleration principles to create something entirely new." The prototype was elegant in its simplicity. By combining Krax crystalline computing with human electromagnetic mastery, they had created a targeting system of unprecedented precision. The implications for space combat were staggering. "Your people's approach to kinetic weapons," Tilara said, examining the technical specifications, "it's remarkably similar to how we developed our crystal technology. Always building on fundamental principles, refining them to their ultimate expression." The human engineers shared excited looks. One of them brought up a new set of schematics on the main display. "That's exactly what we were thinking. If we apply the same iterative development to combined human Krax technology." The next few hours flew by as both species' engineering teams exchanged ideas. The humans' practical experience with electromagnetic systems complemented the Krax's theoretical understanding of crystalline structures perfectly. New designs emerged, each more promising than the last. A junior human engineer demonstrated how their railgun principles could be adapted to launch crystalline projectiles, using the crystal's natural structure to maintain stability at even higher velocities. A Krax technician showed how their computing cores could be modified to handle the massive calculations needed for relativistic targeting. The Galactic Council observation team watched from a discreet distance, their concern growing with each successful integration of human and Krax technology. This was not the simple cultural exchange they had anticipated. "Look at this targeting resolution," Chen exclaimed, pointing to a test simulation. "By using the crystal's natural resonance patterns to guide the projectile." Tilara's mandibles clicked in appreciation. "And if we incorporate our phase-shifting technology into the projectile design itself, we could bypass most known defense systems entirely," they concluded simultaneously. As the combined engineering team celebrated their breakthrough, Tilara realized that the Council's concerns about human technological development had been entirely backward. They hadn't worried enough about what would happen when humanity started combining their primitive solutions with advanced alien technology. The future of space combat was about to change dramatically, and it would be the unlikely partnership between humans and cracks leading the way. The emergency alert flashed across the Galactic Council's central monitoring station, casting an ominous red glow across worried faces. Senior Monitor Kelvis watched as another defense outpost went dark, joining the growing void in their network. Third station this week, his assistant reported, mandibles twitching nervously. Same pattern as the others. Quantum communications cut off mid-transmission, defensive grids disabled. Then, nothing. The holographic display showed the spreading darkness like a cancer among the stars. Whatever was moving through council space was methodical, unstoppable, and growing bolder with each successful attack. In the emergency command center, representatives from dozens of species argued over possible responses. Their most advanced energy weapons had proven useless against the unknown threat. Quantum-based shields, the cornerstone of galactic defense technology, might as well have been soap bubbles. Replay the last transmission from Outpost Sigma 7, Kelvis ordered, studying the tactical display. The footage showed the station's defensive systems engaging an incoming threat, sleek, dark shapes that absorbed every energy blast without slowing. The recording ended with a burst of static. A human observer stood silently in the corner, watching the replay with narrowed eyes. Lieutenant Commander Zhang had been assigned as Earth's military liaison to the Council, though many had questioned the wisdom of including such a primitive species in high-level defense meetings. "Those energy weapons," Zhang said quietly, "they're being absorbed somehow." Kelvis nodded. The enemy vessels appear to possess some form of quantum field technology that can redirect or neutralize energy-based attacks. Our most powerful weapons are simply consumed. The human's expression shifted subtly. "And you've tried modulating the frequencies, changing attack patterns?" "Every variation we could conceive," the Council's chief of defense responded. "Their quantum shields adapt instantly. It's as if they can predict and counter any energy-based attack before it even reaches them." Zhang pulled out a data tablet, fingers flying across its surface. "Request permission to transmit this tactical data to Earth Defense Command. Our research teams might have some relevant insights." Several council members scoffed at the idea. What could these electromagnetic-obsessed humans possibly contribute to a fight against an enemy that had rendered even the most advanced quantum weapons useless? The debate was interrupted by another emergency signal. This time, it was a civilian mining colony under attack. The tactical display showed the same dark ships approaching the settlement's defensive perimeter. But something was different this time. The colony's administrator was human-trained and had recently installed a hybrid defense system. As the unknown vessels approached, they were met not with energy weapons, but with a barrage of magnetically accelerated projectiles. The entire command center watched in stunned silence as the first kinetic round slammed into one of the attacking ships. The quantum fields that had so effectively absorbed energy weapons did nothing to stop several tons of tungsten moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The enemy vessel shattered. "Well," Zhang said into the shocked silence, "looks like sometimes the old ways are the best ways." The tactical display updated as more data poured in. The remaining attacking ships were retreating, apparently unable to adapt to this primitive but devastating form of attack. Their quantum shields, so effective against energy weapons, provided no defense against pure kinetic energy. Kelvis turned to the human officer, his crystalline form shifting to indicate deep respect. "Lieutenant Commander, I believe we need to have a very serious discussion about upgrading the Council's defense networks. How quickly can Earth begin production of these weapon systems?" John was already sending messages through her tablet. "Our factories have been running at full capacity since we first learned about the attacks. The real question is, how quickly can your ships be retrofitted to handle the recoil from our heavy railguns?" As the command center erupted into frenzied activity, Kelvis couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The most advanced civilizations in the galaxy might just be saved by humanity's outdated obsession with throwing things very, very fast. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Defense Council hummed with tension as Dr. Sarah Chen activated her holographic display. The massive room, designed to accommodate representatives of every spacefaring species, had never felt so crowded. Even the crystalline cracks delegates had squeezed into the observer sections, their faceted bodies refracting light across the walls. The principle is simple, Chen began, manipulating the hologram to show a cross-section of Earth's latest defense system. While the swarm can absorb or redirect energy weapons, they cannot violate the basic laws of physics. Mass times acceleration equals force. No quantum field can change that. The hologram shifted to show footage from the mining colony attack. The council members watched again as the railgun round tore through the swarm vessel's supposedly impenetrable defenses. But surely, a tentacled representative interrupted, simple kinetic weapons cannot be the answer to such an advanced threat. Chen smiled, expanding the holographic display. Simple? Let me show you what we mean by kinetic weapons. The image zoomed in on the internal structure of a modern railgun system. This isn't just throwing rocks. We're talking about precisely machined projectiles accelerated to relativistic speeds through magnetic fields so powerful they could tear apart conventional matter. The technical specifications appeared beside the diagram. Several council members rustled nervously as they processed the numbers. These acceleration coils, Chen continued, use crystalline matrices developed in collaboration with our CRAX allies. They can maintain stability at power levels that were theoretically impossible just months ago. She gestured, and the hologram transformed into a solar system-wide tactical display. We're proposing a 3-layered defense strategy. Long-range mass drivers in orbital positions, medium-range interceptors on planetary bodies, and close-range point defense systems on all major vessels. The simulation showed waves of swarm ships approaching a defended system. The outer layer of mass drivers launched their projectiles first, the massive rounds visible only by the distortion they created in space. Where they connected, swarm ships simply ceased to exist, reduced to expanding clouds of debris by the sheer kinetic energy of impact. The swarm's quantum fields actually work against them, Chen explained. They're so focused on absorbing and redirecting energy that they've sacrificed conventional armor. They have no defense against pure kinetic impacts. In the simulation, surviving swarm vessels encountered the second layer of defense. Smaller railguns mounted on moons and asteroids created a web of hypersonic projectiles. The few ships that made it through faced point-blank fire from defending vessels equipped with rapid-fire electromagnetic weapons. We've already begun retrofitting council ships with modified versions of our naval railgun systems, Chen said, bringing up the conversion specifications. The recoil was initially a problem, but we've developed a new type of inertial dampener using. How soon? The High Commander's voice cut through the technical discussion. How soon can we implement this defense network? Chen's expression grew serious. The orbital platforms are already in production. We've converted several asteroid mining facilities to manufacture the larger mass drivers. The cracks have authorized use of their crystalline fabrication plants for the precision components. With full council support, we could have the first layer of defense operational within 2 standard months. The chamber erupted in overlapping conversations as species debated among themselves. Chen waited patiently, knowing that for many of them, this represented a fundamental shift in how they viewed warfare. They had spent centuries developing ever more sophisticated energy weapons and quantum shields, only to find that salvation lay in technology they had considered primitive. There is one more thing, Chen added when the noise subsided. We're already working on the next generation of these weapons. Imagine combining our kinetic delivery systems with your quantum tunneling technology. Projectiles that can bypass space itself to strike their targets. The chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just found a way to fight back against the swarm. They were about to revolutionize space warfare entirely. The bridge of the ESS Thunderchild hummed with controlled tension as Admiral Rodriguez watched the tactical display. Proxima Centauri's red light bathed the command center in a crimson glow, matching the alert status of the combined fleet. 20 ships of mixed human and council design held position around the colony world, their newly installed railgun systems gleaming under the alien sun. Multiple quantum signatures detected, the sensor officer reported. Swarm configuration matches previous attack patterns. Estimated time to engagement, 6 minutes. Rodriguez studied the approaching formation. The swarm had grown bolder since their first encounters, fielding larger ships with more powerful quantum fields. They hadn't yet realized that their improved defenses would make no difference against what was coming. All ships execute Battle Plan Theta, Rodriguez commanded. Mass driver platforms begin targeting solutions. Remember your training. These weapons have minimal guidance once fired. Make your shots count. The tactical display updated as the fleet moved into position. The human-designed defense grid was deceptively simple. 3 layers of overlapping fields of fire, each optimized for different ranges and projectile velocities. They would only get one chance to prove the concept in actual combat. Swarm vessels entering maximum effective range. Tactical announced. Mass driver platforms report ready status. Rodriguez took a deep breath. All platforms, execute Fire Mission Alpha. Time on target coordination enabled. Across the system, massive electromagnetic accelerators hummed to life. Each platform contained a railgun nearly a kilometer long, designed to launch specially crafted tungsten carbide projectiles at speeds that made traditional space combat look pedestrian. Mass drivers firing in 3, 2, 1. Space itself seemed to distort as dozens of hypervelocity rounds streaked toward the approaching swarm fleet. The enemy vessel's quantum fields flared brilliantly, attempting to absorb or redirect energy that simply wasn't there. Instead of the expected energy weapons, they faced simple physics applied with devastating precision. The first impacts were spectacular. Swarm vessels that had shrugged off the most powerful energy weapons in the galaxy were torn apart by kinetic force beyond their ability to counter. Their quantum fields, optimized to handle energy attacks, provided no defense against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. Multiple confirmed kills, tactical reported, professional calm masking excitement. Swarm fleet formation is breaking up. They're attempting evasive maneuvers. Second layer, engage at will, Rodriguez ordered. Let's show them what point defense looks like, human style. The closer range defense ships opened up with their modified naval railguns. Smaller projectiles crisscross space in complex patterns designed to limit the swarm's movement options. A swarm dreadnought, easily twice the size of any previously encountered vessel, tried to push through the barrage. Multiple impacts along its hull sent it spinning, its quantum fields flickering uselessly against the onslaught. Sir, communications cut in. We're picking up transmissions between swarm vessels. They're trying to retreat. Rodriguez allowed himself a small smile. Not this time. All ships execute containment protocol. Don't let them jump out. The Council needs prisoners for study. The fleet moved with practiced precision, herding the remaining swarm ships into a kill zone between the mass driver platforms. A few vessels attempted to break through, only to discover that humanity's mastery of electromagnetic weapons extended to creating zones of charged particles that played havoc with quantum field generators. Swarm flagship is powering down weapons, Tactical reported. We're receiving surrender signals from multiple vessels. The bridge crew maintained their professional demeanor, but the atmosphere was electric with triumph. Humanity's primitive technology had just proven itself against the most dangerous threat the galaxy had ever faced. Send word to Earth Defense Command and the Council, Rodriguez ordered. The defense concept is validated. Begin full-scale production of the weapon systems immediately. He paused, watching the tactical display as the remaining swarm ships were secured, and tell them we're going to need a lot more tungsten. The battle for Proxima Centauri would go down in history as the turning point in the war against the swarm. The day humanity proved that sometimes the simplest solution was the right one, as long as you threw it fast enough. The Lunar Research Station's main laboratory sparkled with holographic displays and the crystalline shimmer of Crack's computing cores. Dr. Chen adjusted her magnetic containment field calculations while Vectoral, her Crack's counterpart, manipulated the quantum tunnel projections with precise movements of her segmented limbs. The field variance is still too high, Chen muttered, studying the simulation results. We need better stability for the quantum tunnel to maintain coherence during projectile transit. Vectoral's crystalline form shifted in what Chen had learned was an expression of deep thought. Perhaps we're approaching this from the wrong angle. Instead of forcing the quantum tunnel to accommodate the electromagnetic field, we could modify the field to match the natural resonance of the quantum tunnel. Chen finished, already adjusting the parameters. Their months of collaboration had led to an almost telepathic understanding between the two scientists. The massive testing chamber below their observation post housed their latest prototype, a hybrid weapon that combined human electromagnetic acceleration with Crack's quantum tunneling technology. If it worked, it would revolutionize both space combat and transportation. Power systems reading nominal, a technician reported. Crystalline computing core online and synchronized with targeting systems. Chen nodded to Vectoral, who began the initialization sequence. The weapon's magnetic coils hummed to life, their fields carefully shaped by crystalline controllers that could make adjustments at the quantum level. At the same time, space itself began to twist as the quantum tunneling system activated. Target lock established, the targeting officer announced. Test drone is in position at the L2 point. The hybrid weapon represented the perfect fusion of human and Crack's technology. The electromagnetic system would accelerate the projectile to near-relativistic speeds, while the quantum tunnel would allow it to bypass normal space entirely, emerging precisely at the target location. Firing solution computed, Vectoral reported, her crystalline digits dancing across the control interface. Quantum tunnel stability at 97% and holding. Chen took a deep breath. Initialize firing sequence. The prototype's magnetic fields intensified, contained and directed by Crack's crystal matrices that could handle power levels that would have melted conventional systems. The quantum tunnel manifested as a subtle distortion in space, barely visible to the naked eye, but clearly defined on their instruments. Fire. The test projectile launched with a crack of displaced air. For a fraction of a second, it was visible as a streak of light before vanishing into the quantum tunnel. Every sensor in the laboratory focused on the target drone thousands of kilometers away. 3 milliseconds later, the drone ceased to exist. Direct hit. The targeting officer's professional demeanor cracked with excitement. Impact velocity recorded at 0.25 light speed. Quantum tunnel maintained perfect coherence throughout transit. Chen and Vectoral exchanged looks of triumph. They had done it, created a weapon that combined the unstoppable kinetic force of human railgun technology with the space-bending capabilities of quantum mechanics. Begin analysis of test data, Chen ordered, already thinking about improvements for the next iteration. We need to understand exactly why this attempt succeeded where the others failed. The crystalline matrices, Vectoral observed, studying the readings. They're not just controlling the magnetic fields, they're actively harmonizing them with the quantum state of the tunnel. It's creating a level of stability we never thought possible. The implications went far beyond weapons technology. The same principles could revolutionize space travel, energy production, even planetary defense systems. It was the beginning of a true fusion between humanity's practical engineering and the advanced quantum science of the galaxy's older species. We should inform the Council, Vectoral suggested. This success changes everything about our defense strategy against the swarm. Chen smiled, watching as the automated systems began preparing for another test shot. Let's make sure we can replicate the results first. But you're right. Once we can mass-produce these hybrid weapons, the swarm won't know what hit them. She paused, considering the broader implications. Though I suspect this is just the beginning. Once we fully understand how to merge our technologies, the possibilities are endless. Vectoral finished, her crystalline form glowing with excitement. Together, they turned back to their work, knowing they were witnessing the birth of a new era in galactic technology. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council gleamed with the light of 1,000 stars, its quantum-enhanced windows showing the vast expanse of space beyond. High Minister Quelnar stood at the central podium, his crystalline form carefully configured to project authority and wisdom to the assembled representatives of every spacefaring species. Today marks not just a victory, he began, his voice resonating through the chamber, but a revelation. The defeat of the swarm at Proxima Centauri proved something we had forgotten in our rush to master quantum mechanics and energy manipulation. The holographic displays activated, showing the combined fleet that had turned the tide of war. Human vessels with their distinctive railgun arrays flew in perfect formation with council ships, sporting hybrid weapon systems. The Crack's delegation's crystalline forms sparkled with pride at the sight of their joint achievements. We had assumed, Quelnar continued, that technological advancement followed a single path. That quantum manipulation was the key to all progress. The humans showed us otherwise. Dr. Chen and Vectoral sat in the observer's gallery, watching as their hybrid weapon designs were displayed for the assembled delegates. The latest versions were even more impressive, quantum-guided kinetic projectiles that could alter their trajectory mid-flight, electromagnetic fields stable enough to contain small-scale quantum singularities. The human protocol, Quelnar announced, will be encoded into our highest laws. Never again will we judge a species' advancement by our preconceptions. Innovation comes in many forms, and strength lies in diversity of approach. The displays shifted to show the new defense network under construction throughout Council space. Mass driver platforms orbited strategic points, their hybrid weapons combining the best of human and alien technology. Swarm attacks had dropped to near zero as news of their defeats spread through the galaxy. But perhaps more important than the victory itself, the High Minister gestured to the human delegation, is what we learned about cooperation. The fusion of human electromagnetic mastery with Council quantum science has opened doors we never knew existed. Research data scrolled across the displays. New transportation systems using guided quantum tunnels, energy production facilities that combined magnetic containment with quantum field manipulation, medical technologies that merged human materials science with alien quantum healing. The swarm believed our reliance on quantum technology was a weakness they could exploit. Quelnar's voice carried a hint of satisfaction. Instead, they forced us to discover strengths we never knew we had, in ourselves and in our newest allies. Admiral Rodriguez, now wearing the insignia of the Combined Fleet Command, stood as the High Minister acknowledged humanity's contribution. The Admiral's new uniform incorporated elements of both human and Council design, symbolic of the growing integration between their civilizations. Let this be remembered. Quelnar raised his crystalline appendages in a formal gesture, as the moment when we truly became a galactic civilization. Not through uniformity, but through diversity. Not through a single path to the stars, but through many paths joining together. The chamber erupted in the various expressions of approval unique to each species. The cracks vibrated their crystalline forms in harmony, creating complex patterns of refracted light. Energy-based species pulsed with bright colors. Human delegates simply applauded, the sound mixing with the other celebrations to create a symphony of unity. In the observer's gallery, Dr. Chen turned to Vectoral, ready to show them the next project. The Crack's scientists' crystalline forms sparkled with excitement. The quantum-enhanced electromagnetic drive. The Council isn't ready for that yet. It will change everything about space travel. That's what they said about railguns, Chen smiled. sometimes the biggest changes come from the simplest ideas. As the celebration continued below, the two scientists quietly discussed their plans. Beyond the chamber's quantum windows, the stars beckoned, no longer threatening, but full of promise. Humanity had found its place among them, not by following the expected path, but by showing that there were always new ways to reach for the heavens. The age of quantum kinetics had begun, and with it, a new chapter in galactic history.